And welcome to another episode of Media Musings. This is the 4th episode of Star Wars Month, where we will be talking about Star Wars under the House of Mouse.
Which is cool because there's no Badger and no Amanda here to get in my way of saying whatever I feel.
Though I will. There is also something new that I want to try out. Fortunately, no one tried to answer the question I tweeted out a few days ago. But let's see if Jen or anyone in the chat can get it. And, of course, anyone watching in the future can give a crack at it in the comments below. And welcome to those who are watching in the future. So I'll go ahead and get the... So, a little bit of media-based trivia. So, these lines are from 2 different songs. What do the songs that have these lines in them, what's the link between these? So the first line is, I pray for the thunder and the rain. Why did they have to die? And then the second line is Molotov cocktail, the local drink. I would have had 2 lines in there, but Twitter character limits.
Oh. Well, I assume they're both about the same thing.
So, does anyone in the chat want to guess? And I'll give Jen and also Badger a chance to guess.
Damn, Badger's here. I can't say everything.
And hello, Seraphim Hyde. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and if anyone gets it, I'll pull their I'll put their good guess, but no. Unfortunately, this specific question doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars.
Hello.
I thought I was going to get away with saying whatever I liked about Disney Star Wars, and you hear.
I thought I might just drop in for a little while.
Yeah. So Badger, do you want to take a crack at the question?
What's the question? I can't quite read it.
Okay. So the songs that so these 2 lines are from different songs.
Mm-hmm.
Done by different artists.
Yeah.
What do these 2 songs have in common? So the first line is, I pray for the thunder and the rain. Why did they have to die? Mm-hmm. And Molotov cocktail, the local drink.
I'm going to say that both of them are about the fan reactions to the Disney Star Wars films. That's my educated and insightful answer to that question.
Jen, do you want to take a guess?
Let me just get the stream open so I can see the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need to. We're in the thing, aren't we?
I have no idea.
Okay. They're both written about the art /to the artist's girlfriend.
Oh.
See, the first line is from Sweet Child of Mine. which the lyrics to, aside from Where Do We Go Now, was written by Axl Rose about his girlfriend. Molotov Cocktail, the local drink, is from All She Wants to Do Is Dance by Don Henley, who wrote it after his girlfriend complained to him that he was doing too much political stuff and he didn't write any songs about her.
Huh.
Yeah, so he wrote a song about how everything is going to shit, but all she wants to do is dance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, anyways, shit, and hello to Chris from the Daily Atheist. Thank you for popping. So, wondering, should I tease this out a bit longer, or should I say what the thing that I liked about The Last Jedi was?
I'll just be here.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, you know what? We'll go in movie order. So we'll start with The Force Awakens, which is basically just kind of a rehash of The New Hope, plot wise. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So I understand why they'd have the first movie like that, as in, you've got completely new characters to introduce, so it would make sense to put in a very familiar plot, so that people can, people don't have to focus on trying to follow the plot. They can focus on the new, new stuff being added in. But it didn't have to be, so blatantly, in my opinion. And we all know how Badger feels about the death of... Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
I feel like everyone's just kind of waiting for me to go completely off my rocker over here.
Yeah, but we all know how bad-tempered Badger feels about the death of Han Solo at the hands of Kylo Ren.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing. It's completely non-canon. It doesn't fit with anything that goes up.
But Disney have categorically said the expanded universe is no longer canon.
Disney's not canon. It can go fuck itself right up the arm.
Yeah.
A Rusty Vader helmet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, I think
it wasn't rusty though. It was more buckled and melted.
Yeah, because at the end of Return of the Jedi, they put him on a funeral pyre.
Although Kylo, in fairness, Kylo did bash it against the wall heaps of times and damage it more. So
because
that was his own one, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, that was his own one.
They can get that prop and the Vader prop. They can get both helmet props and just shove them right up in there. Getting out here.
Okay. How would you feel if we viewed the Disney Star Wars as a parallel universe?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So, for the purposes of this, discussion, the Star Wars timeline split at the end of Return of the Jedi. And we have the Disney Star Wars and the Legends timelines. And now we're talking about how, what we're doing. Now we're giving a fair and balanced assessment of the Disney timeline.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
This is going to be hard for Badger.
Yeah.
All right. So this means you have to keep your criticisms to aspects of the Disney stories rather than how the Disney stories don't fit in with your extended universe canon.
I'll get my notes.
Oh, and we have Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
You know, here I thought we'd have Amanda, but instead we have Amanda.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
I'm here to back Badger up.
Okay.
he needs it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
there's my notes for that one.
So we're starting with The Force Awakens.
Yes. I will say that it should have been handled like not everyone needs an analog from the old, and it doesn't need to be as blatantly an analog from the old trilogy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's just recycled from the same movie.
Although in a sense it's worse because the speed at which Rey takes to using force powers that should take at least a reasonable amount of time to learn is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, she suddenly discovers she has force powers and then she can use mind tricks. That's ridiculous.
I'm going to defend her using the mind trick on the stormtrooper when she's captured slightly, because Rey. So the difference between Rey and Luke at this point is Rey's heard stories about Jedi. Rey know what Jedi are. They know a little bit of what they can do. So it's more, I know this is a thing that's possible, so I'll try it. And it just happens to work.
Hang on a second. Luke saw Obi-Wan use mind tricks. Luke had heard stories. He actually says it himself. He'd heard stories.
Yeah.
They also use it as a device.
Right, so
when she, her stumbling into it and realizing she has Jedi powers, that's kind of the point when she realizes it. But it is for it to be a mind trick, though. I mean, it's supposed to take effort and practice to be able to do something like that, and for them to use that. I mean, it was a good scene. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, but
no, I can totally go. Now, the fact that she is force sensitive and therefore can resist Kylo's mind probe, yes, I can give it that, because if you're force sensitive, you might be able to block somebody trying to get in your head, even if you're not trained for that.
Yeah.
You can kind of
especially if your force sensitivity is greater than the other person's, which is conceivably possible given their storyline.
You can kind of do it even if you're not force sensitive. You just have to be very guarded in your thinking and able to have great control over your own mental faculties. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's in the books.
No, well, see.
Yes, but we're going with the movies. But it was also in. I'm trying
to help Rey here.
Yeah,
I know. No, that's why I said I don't have a problem with that one because that's conceivable. But the Jedi mind trick and her being able to use force powers as good as she did to get that lightsaber at the end of the first movie, no.
Okay, yeah, I will say that. Because,
I mean, Luke couldn't even pull one out of only just after already having had some training with Obi-Wan, just managed to pull a lightsaber out of the ice.
So,
she dragged it halfway
I
across.
will say in regards to the Hoth, Luke pulling him out of the pulling the lightsaber out of the ice on Hoth. He's been hanging upside. He just regained consciousness, and he's been hanging upside down in that ice cave for who knows how long. So all the blood's rushed to his head. You try to concentrate while you're rushing up, while you're, possibly hypothermic, and you've got like all the blood rushed to your head.
I have two questions. One is, how's my audio? Because I've just adjusted it, hopefully.
Oh,
That
yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, it's fine.
And two, you know those join the dot drawings where you got the numbers on the dots there?
Yeah.
And you go from 1 to 2 to 3, and they go all over, and you eventually make like a squiggly drawing.
Yeah.
That's Rey's character arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had they not done that, had they come up with some other way that she'd gotten out of there, it would have made way more sense. That's my biggest problem. How easily she was able to use the Force power. I don't care that in the end she ends up being Palpatine's granddaughter. Whoop-de-chook. Luke was Anakin's son.
Not even Palpatine's granddaughter. Apparently, she's one of the fucking clones' granddaughters, which is just stupid. Why the fuck did they have to come out with that? That was dumb.
Her character arc looks like her character arc looks like the handwriting of a doctor that is midway through diagnosing himself with a heart attack.
Yeah,
or a stroke.
But yeah, we'll get to that. Because I have some words to say about how I feel about Rey's reveal in Rise of Skywalker.
I've got a whole 3 pages of notes on that film.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't mind the first movie.
Yeah, the first movie was pretty good. You know, it was a good time. It would have probably been a little better if everything hadn't been ripped from, A New Hope.
Sorry.
No, after you.
Go, Patrick. Well, I was going to say, I think.
But after you now, aren't we?
Yeah. No, you go, and then it's done.
All right.
Okay.
Here are my most charitable thoughts about The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It's an okay, enjoyable science fiction / science fantasy film if you don't put Star Wars on it. It's if you just ignore that there's a Star Wars label on it and just imagine that it's something loosely based on that visual aesthetic, it's perfectly enjoyable. It's a bit of a rip-off of A New Hope, but it's perfectly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Lots of typewriters like that.
In all honesty, the easiest ways for it to have worked is even Rey having the ability she did could have been solved by saying that she'd been a student of Luke's at some point, but had amnesia and forgotten it, and Kylo had triggered those memories when he tried to get into his head. That is where I thought they would end up going with that, because it was the only way I could to see that it would be possible. And I think had we not had the dickhead who directed the second one doing what he done, that might have been the way it went.
Yeah.
Oh, ruined Johnson.
Yeah. Well, we're not on the second one yet. So,
but there are a couple things that I really liked about Force Awakens. One was TR-8R.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, which one was that?
That stormtrooper not stormtrooper, but Final Order grunt that the internet had dubbed TR-8R because he shouts traitor at Finn. and that awesome like almost like stun baton sort of thing. Yeah.
A weapon designed to actually fight Jedis with.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite
makes
character
sense
from the new ones.
Yeah.
So.
And who is your favorite character from the new ones?
They tried to make Phasma all cool, and then they just dropped that in, and everyone's like, we like this guy.
Yeah. But Manda, you were saying something?
I like Poe. He's my favorite character from the new one.
Oh yeah,
I like Poe.
I like Poe. And the other thing is the scene where Kylo kills Han Solo destroyed me emotionally in all the right ways.
Especially when Chewbacca cried. That was fucking. Oh, it was so.
Now, I know
bad.
Badger's going to have things to say about that because it doesn't fit in with this thing, but remembering what we're talking about, it worked well for the movie.
I've said my thing, but I do have another thing to say on it, which is I thought Chewbacca's reaction in that moment was pretty good, or how they played it. But once we get on to the next films,
I found Chewie to be very lacking in the second one, but we're not there yet. Now the other thing is Kylo.
Yes,
I don't think Kylo worked as being Luke's nephew.
Kylo's a cheap rip-off and imitation of Jason Solo. They should have fucking just gone with that.
But they didn't need it anyway. They could have had that entirely separate. They could have had this whole other story with this kid who'd been a student of Luke's and had been brought in by the dark side and gone over to fight with them for whatever reason. And it would still have been a good story, and we didn't have to have that direct attachment to the old characters.
I did kind of like the Vader worship angle, the hero worship for Vader angle.
And I just it was really hard for me to wrap my head around Han and Leia's kid turning evil, to be honest with you.
And the Vader worship doesn't work for me either, because everyone knew that Vader in the end turned and is the reason why they'd beaten the Emperor. So why would somebody who's gone to the dark side be worshipping Vader? He would think he was a traitor. That makes no sense. I'm finishing your work. No, you're not, because he turned his back on that. How is that work?
It's possible they hid that. They didn't. They wanted to prop Vader up and keep him as an icon, and didn't tell anybody. Because I mean, it happened very quickly at the end that he turned and he killed Palpatine, and that was it.
And the only one in there was Luke.
Yeah,
the only one who survived in that confrontation was Luke.
Yes, okay, that works if Kylo isn't Luke's nephew, because Kylo would have known this. A person who wasn't Luke's nephew could have turned to the dark side and worshipped Vader. Yes, that's quite possible.
Luke has been walking around for years telling everybody he killed the Emperor.
Don't put me
to protect his father, and I don't know.
Why would he do that? No, because I mean, Luke actually. Yeah, I don't think it works in any way. It's a tie-in with the way the story was.
Don't put me in a position where I have to play devil's advocate for Disney.
Badger, do you agree that it doesn't work though?
I think that someone that is so who is being seduced by the dark side, it is entirely possible that Luke could have been trying to portray the good side of his father by saying, yes, he did these terrible things, but also he redeemed himself in this way. And two, it could have been entirely possible that some dark force manipulating the mind of the apprentice, saying, well, your master's lying to you.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I can see that is a possibility.
I now feel dirty. Thank you very much.
I will, since we're talking about Kylo Ren. Bye, Amanda. Amanda dropped out. Since we're talking about Kylo Ren, I will bring up. Amanda's back.
Okay.
I will bring up something that I thought could have been handled better in Rise of Skywalker.
All of it?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, but specifically in regards to Kylo Ren. Having him confronting, his memory of Han, turning him to the light didn't work for me. I think it might have been better if they brought in Hayden Christensen and had Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost talk some sense into him.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because Angel and I have actually had that discussion. I mean, I did like that; it was cute having the reverse of what happened with him and Han, but having Anakin's Force Ghost come in and fix this shit would have been a better idea.
Well, it would have made way more sense.
Just the whole trilogy of Hayden Christensen just bumbling around as the Force Ghost would have been a better idea.
I mean, here's another thing. Surely Luke would have trained Kylo in the art of being able to see Force ghosts.
Yeah.
So therefore, he'd probably already talked to his grandfather.
Well, it's not really. I don't know. It seems to me that anyone who's Force sensitive can see a Force ghost if the Force ghost approaches them. It seems to me that especially in the original trilogy, every time we see a Force ghost, the Force ghost is approaching the Force sensitive. The Force ghost is approaching the Jedi.
Right.
So it's more like, it's less, they can see the Force ghost and more the Force ghost. Well, yeah, they can see the Force ghost, but only if the Force ghost approaches them first. That's what it seems like to me.
By the way, if you see a little comment I've put in the chat there.
A Disney quality roof?
Yes. If you want to know what I mean full of holes and so structurally unsound it's about to come down around your ears.
Badgers, yeah, your threats are creative and hilarious. Now, in regards to the First Order, I have mixed feelings about pattern. About the First Order is like the Star Wars neo-Nazis.
They went way too fucking far with the Nazi symbols. Like they might as well just. It was just a lot.
See, my feelings on it aren't mixed at all. The whole thing's just stupid.
Yeah. like I kind of get that it. The whole meta angle of, hey, look at these new Nazis. They're dipshits trying to pretend to be, they're dipshits in cosplay essentially. But it makes the First Order in universe not look threatening at all.
I remember sitting in the movie theater with Angel, and he turns to me and he goes, "Hey, look. They're motherfucking Nazis." So yeah, it was.
And
it gets to the point of camp because it's so over the top.
And in regards to Kylo Ren, I think my opinion on him is possibly badly written, possibly badly directed, acted well.
Acted so well. I love Adam Driver. He is fucking amazing.
If you want to criticize Kylo Ren, that is absolutely fine because he's a terrible character. Absolutely, yeah. He should not have been written the way he was. But just take Adam Driver and put him in a little Force bubble where none of the criticisms apply to Adam Driver because he is an excellent actor and did the best he possibly could with the material he was given.
Although, admittedly, it was hard to go from Girls to Star Wars. I don't know if any of you have seen Girls, but that's fucked up shit.
I haven't actually.
See, I went from Star Wars to Logan Lucky.
That was good too, and totally opposite characters. Yeah.
But yeah, Adam Driver is one of those actors that I'll see anything that has him in it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's amazing.
Okay, so let's move on.
To be honest, he could be a future. Oh God, I can't remember his name. The guy who played Snape.
Oh, he could. Yeah, he could be the next Alan Rickman.
You get the next. Thank you, Alan Rickman. Why couldn't I remember that?
Oh, R.I.P. Alan Rickman.
Indeed. I haven't seen Adam Driver in very much apart from those things. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure he has quite the same capacity for very subtle emotion that Alan Rickman had, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying I haven't seen him do it.
I apologize for paraphrasing the Lich Bard, but forgive him. He knows not what he says.
I'm gonna fucking ban him.
Oh my! Really? Oh, we will get there. Should we move on to the second movie?
Yeah. So the Last Jedi.
Because we're already nearly 30 minutes in, aren't we? So yeah, this one's gonna take a while.
Okay.
Walking around between fucking JJ and Ryan is stupid as fuck, and the fact that they both did dick measuring contests with each other, it was oh fuck that. It's dumb.
That's ridiculous. Well, I don't think JJ actually did that. I think it was more.
No,
Ryan.
it definitely more Ryan.
But I'm going to say the thing that that Last Jedi did in regards to character arcs and such that I really liked, and it's the fact that they made Rey, the reveal that Rey's parents were nothing, and of course that was completely ruined by Rise of Skywalker. But
I liked the nothing thing. I thought there was
because the thing is, the main. I get why the prequels are all about Anakin, because it's the story of Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is such a looming force in pardon the accidental pun, in the original trilogy, that I get why he's the big bad. But there is something of a legitimate criticism in the main Star Wars movies just being a soap opera about the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
I do agree to an extent. I think that they're kind of the central family of a lot of them, but a lot of my personal favorite Star Wars stories are ones that they are barely in or not in at all.
Yeah.
For example, in Public Commander books, and one of the book series I've written, there's the most mention of the Skywalkers is, Skywalker is leading those clones over there.
Yeah.
Well, we're not with those clones, so he can fuck off.
Santi Skywalker. Sorry.
Santi Skywalker.
So about the opening of the film.
Wait, which film are we talking about? Second one?
Second one.
Yeah. What the hell was that?
It's been a while.
Oh, where Luke just throws the lightsaber.
Oh, you know what? People fucking complain about that. I thought it was cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get that it was like shitting on everything they did, but that's not how I saw it. I just saw it as Luke being quirky. That's all.
Also,
okay, good. Go
I
on.
do kind of like I like the Hermit Luke angle, but it should have been it should have been handled better.
Enough with the fucking colored milk already. It's gross.
It's inconsistent with the expanded universe. It's fucking check. Right.
Remember, we're treating this as its own timeline.
Yeah.
But it's fucking shit. Luke Skywalker in the books is much better. Anyway,
it's a parallel universe, which in your regard is not canon.
Shit universe. Anyway, the opening of the film with the
Can we have another parallel universe where Ryan Johnson was never born?
Please.
Yes, please.
But you know,
or went to culinary school or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably nice.
I do you know,
tomato sauce in it.
Like,
you know, versus your food expectations.
I mean, because we would have had to do some kind of Hermit Luke thing because, you know, he spent the entire Force Awakens just gone. That was the whole point of the Force Awakens. Partly is it's like Luke has disappeared. He's, you know.
And hear me out, all right? They could just not have made those films and made better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But let me rant about the opening.
Okay.
So, absolutely nothing in the opening of I've even forgotten the name of the film.
Last Jedi.
Absolutely nothing in the opening of that film makes sense. Why are the resistance?
Yeah,
why are
and
they
hello,
on
Hopswatch.
Why are they suddenly on the run from the First Order?
Oh yeah,
they've just crippled the First Order's entire plan. They're blowing up the shit.
Yeah.
Why are they suddenly just getting on the run now? Additionally, why do they not have any sensible bombers? Why are they using what seems to be designed for crop dusting? It just bumbles around like super slow speed and is massive target and has no shields and is shit and awful and terrible.
And that does tail into a criticism I have for the series as a whole in regards to the First Order. You know, this takes about, you know, say 15, 20 years after Return of the Jedi, approximately.
Yeah. Why the
fuck
Order?
Is the first, you know, why the fuck is the First Order so powerful? They should be at best an Al-Qaeda equivalent. You know,
also,
they should be they should be like Star Wars Al-Qaeda at best.
Also, how are they so powerful when everyone in both the First Order and the Resistance is completely incompetent? Actually, I suppose that makes sense. That's how the First Order has got so powerful, because everyone in the Resistance is completely incompetent. But that doesn't make any sense because the First Order is completely incompetent as well.
How are they even a resistance? I mean, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you go by Disney canon, you watch The Mandalorian. The Republic are a disparate group and no more. How the hell did the Republic come up from what we can see in How the hell did the First Order come out of what we can see in The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I just don't see how it was even possible.
I have grave concerns about The Mandalorian. That they're going to try to add in a load of bullshit plot points to try to link it into the shit trilogy that they made.
So
of course they will.
Once again, especially since, you know, The Mandalorian is part of the Disney timeline, and it does show a rather dissolved, you know, the rebel forces have been, you know, disbanded, and they're trying to rebuild from the collapse of the Empire. This shouldn't act, you know, taking the whole socio-political, you know, asking for socio-political realism from a Star Wars movie is something of a tall order. But there shouldn't be a galaxy-wide government for at least 50 years.
If you read the books, it's all in there and it's awesome, and they have all kinds of back and forth conflicts. So there's the Imperial Remnant, and there's the New Republic, and there's all kinds of little turf wars going on. It's amazing, and then they made those films and they were shit.
Yeah, so it would have been better if you had the First Order, you know, controlling, you know, this sector of space, and the New Republic controlling this sector of space, and they're duking it out for, you know,
on borders.
They're both trying to expand and control the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah, that would have certainly made sense.
And especially since Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, aside from the Rey plot lines, they very much try to be war movies. So it would have fit what they were going for better if it was a war movie. If they had two roughly equal opposing sides that controlled different systems, different sectors of space, and were in conflict and trying to assert, control, further influence in the galaxy.
I think they felt like they needed an ultimate evil versus an ultimate good, though. When you have two warring sides like that, it becomes a gray area.
And that's a big problem that I have with the main Disney Star Wars movies. The Disney additions to the saga
are all shit and terrible.
Is they're in a way they're too modern. Like, in the wrong ways, they're too modern. In that every, modern action movies, it's got to be, the entire world or the entire galaxy's at stake, and we've got to stop this one big thing. And that's basically the plot of every modern action movie nowadays.
Yeah, that's the problem I have in general with action films at the moment, is that they always make the stakes too big. You can't just have a little film where you go and apart from like Taken, it's one person is there, I'm going to rescue them. You got to save the world,
or
every time,
or apart from John Wick.
And John Wick, but then John Wick is the exception to it that is excellent, and Keanu Reeves is the new Messiah.
And I'm gonna probably.
What about Jesus?
Yeah.
No, he's Jayden now.
Yeah, he's
Jayden. Yeah.
But yeah, we are probably gonna. We are definitely going to have to do John Wick, because I have a lot of things to say about John Wick.
A lot of people have a lot of things to say about John Wick.
I kind of do too.
I say that I can watch the first 5 minutes of the first movie and then I fuck off because they kill the puppy, and that's it.
I can John Wick.
Hey, what they actually made a sequel?
There's like 4 of them.
There's 3 out now, and they're making a 4th.
Okay.
And yes, everyone needs to watch John Wick. And we'll leave that at that, and start talking about more mediocre movies.
Yeah. All right. Let's So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Hyperdriving into another ship to destroy it.
Yeah.
If this was possible, it would have already been done. Somebody would have thought of it in the universe.
Also, it totally breaks how hyperdrive is supposed to work. Because from what I understand, so they basically, you essentially use the ship like a railgun. Or a projectile from a railgun. Well,
hyperspace is not just
that,
really, really fast. Hyperspace is a different dimension that you shove your ships into.
Hyperspace. Yeah, hyperspace
is really fast.
Yeah, hyperspace is hyperdrives and hyperspace is supposed to be an adjacent dimension.
Yeah,
but because if hyperdrive actually works so that you move that speed in normal space, then any particle of dust would destroy your own ship.
Oh, not if you got reflectors.
Yeah.
Star Trek, I mean. No, that aside, even if you assume within the canon of the show, you could hyperdrive into the middle of another ship and then blow up, basically. So you set your own ship to self-destruct and blow up. They would have known they could do this. They would have made bombs that did this, that didn't even need people to fly them. And this would have been the weapon that destroyed the first 2 Death Stars. They would have done it ages.
You wouldn't have
before.
needed the first 2 Death Stars. You could just strap a hyperdrive to an asteroid and then take out every planet.
Or you know, if you needed it to be guided, make strap a hyperdrive. Yeah, strap a hyperdrive to one of those vulture droids from the prequels.
Uh-huh.
And there you go. You have a planet-busting weapon.
Yeah, you don't need a Death Star. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing breaks Star Wars. I mean, I know you suspend disbelief for a science fiction show anyway, but this actually breaks it, and I have huge problems with breaking things. It makes everything. It basically makes everything else in the other movies irrelevant, and I'm like, no. It was, to my mind, it was one of the biggest fuck ups in the fucking movie. I mean,
okay, and the other of the biggest, quote unquote, biggest fuck ups of The Last Jedi that I actually kind of enjoyed is the scene at the end with Luke. Where they're on the planet and the First Order has the resistance.
He projects himself there.
Yeah. The Luke projection scene. I get why that's like supposedly, I get that there are lore issues with a Jedi being able to do that. That being said,
I don't have a problem with them creating a new ability.
Yeah.
I mean, because maybe the only reason why the Jedis don't do it is because it basically kills them. Yeah. Which is what Luke did. He killed himself to do it. So
there aren't necessarily lore issues to do with it. There are similar things in the good Star Wars stories, i.e. the expanded universe.
And
what they can't do or can is oh fuck it. It's just no.
Well, I mean, in actual fact, Luke didn't interact with anything when he did that.
Yeah, and it's a very well set up and well shot scene.
I mean, even down to when he's fighting Kylo, he leaves no footprints.
Yeah,
and Kylo does not notice this.
They pointed out earlier, a little bit earlier in the film that the surface layer, crust or whatever on the planet is very, very thin, and even and it shows that pretty much any disturbance will show, the under crust or whatever.
None whatsoever. Yeah. So, and Luke, whilst he gives an image of himself holding a lightsaber, the lightsabers never touch, and Luke just dodges everything.
Yeah.
It's not a proper saber fight or anything like that.
Yeah.
It is purely an illusion that Luke is projecting. And even the thing that he hands the dice that he hands Leia disappear after he dies. Well, a bit of after he dies, but so it's a Force illusion as well.
Yeah,
that he does from a long range. So I don't necessarily have a problem with them inventing that as an ability, and even making a consequence of that Luke has to die to do it, and that he gave up his life to give them an escape. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with lots of other aspects of the way they portrayed Luke's personality throughout it. They can just fuck off with that, because that's really bad. But that particular scene, I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, guys. Right,
Hey, Jeff.
I'm going to get caught up with the conversation a little bit with this one. So
we're into the second of them.
There, you're caught up.
We're on episode 8, are we?
It's fucking character assassination as well. They just go in. Like, hey, look, here's this character, this hero to fucking billions of people. Let's just make him a sad hermit who wants to die. I'm going
I'm going to play something of devil's advocate, but because
don't do it.
Remember,
I will
Badger's
say,
job.
I get the idea of having like a PTSD driven Luke, because in this timeline, the new Jedi Order that he tried to build had been destroyed, before his eyes by his nephew. However, so I see how it could be. I get the little nugget of gold in that idea. However, it was botched. The idea had a nugget of goodness to it, but the execution ruined it.
That nugget was a little tiny piece of poop.
I kind of see where Ring's coming from on this.
I'm actually with Badger on this. I don't think there's any form of redemption in the way they treated Luke in that movie.
I mean,
even though I call Luke, Amanda knows what I call Luke from the original trilogy. But Luke's character by the end of the trilogy is not the same Luke there, and they turned him back into that. And no, that's just not. I mean, I could understand him being a little bit upset and maybe going off and wanting to find out what he did wrong and study more about being a Jedi. But turning into this completely self-obsessed ass, which is what he was when Rey found him. No.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there was a gem of Luke working, of a good idea of Luke trying to work through his issues and find a way to do better. But it was completely destroyed and botched in the execution.
I will concede that there could have been a useful storyline in there, but there's nothing good in the way they portrayed Luke.
Yeah. I'll agree with you in that, because like the main problems I have is with the execution.
This has been my whole issue with the entire with Disney as it is anyway. My issue is not so much that them changing a lot of the lore and stuff, or a lot of the canon. My issue's been with I don't mind them doing that. I can tolerate them doing that. I know other people not so much, but it's what I found really it has been the problems throughout that trilogy has just been the really bad storytelling of this. Now I felt obviously I'm catching up with episode 7. I thought was good, but there was I didn't mind it, but there was a few things in it that bothered me. There was a few things. Badger, shut up.
Yeah.
Mute, Badger. We'll let you have a long rant in a second.
Yes.
Remember, Badger. This is a parallel universe that you don't have to count as canon.
I'm still gonna growl. Right, I'll be back in a second. I need to do something.
But that's been my big I don't know if it was brought up earlier or not, but in episode 7 or whatever, how Rey goes from not being taught anything to sort of almost being able to actually hold her own with Kylo Ren. That was an issue to me. And
we went through all that.
We went through that. I'm sure you did. But when it gets to episode 8, I just found the whole thing so convoluted. With the storytelling of it.
But she'd had a couple of days training with Luke, and then she holds her own on the throne room with Kylo again, and Kylo's not even injured this time. Well, no, not Kylo, because they fought together, didn't they? So, but she holds her own against trained people who are trained to fight Jedi.
Yeah, it's like she said.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it'd be like for example, like Manda giving me like 2 lessons on astrophysics or whatever, and me suddenly having the knowledge of a PhD on the subject. Not going to fucking happen. You know, it's a similar thing here. You're not going to, you know, that was the issue I had with it, because in every sort of other things, like, you know, Jedi trained a Padawan for years to get to it, to become a knight. Even with a Sith apprentice learned for years to use that power, develop that power. Rey develops this like just organically without any training whatsoever, and it's like, what, a couple of lessons with Luke, she's a Jedi master. It's a bit,
well, not a master, but definitely a well-trained Padawan.
And I will say, I'll say this again. There is one good thing The Last Jedi did with Rey, and it's the fact that they made Rey not related to anyone or anyone of consequence.
Yeah, I do like that. That was one thing that Rian Johnson did that was good. Although the fans really liked the idea of maybe she was going to be Obi-Wan's kid or something.
Yeah. Though
maybe Obi-Wan did the naughty when he was on Tatooine.
So
I will say
our theory. What Angel and I theorized before the movie came out. We thought she was going to be his clone of sorts, like his essence, Palpatine's. That she
I'll be Palpatine's essence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you guys were fairly close.
You were pretty close,
but no cigar.
But
that would have been better, though. That would have made more sense, right, honey?
And
if Rey was Palpatine.
Is Angel going to join in?
Come here for a sec.
Would have made more sense if Rey just wasn't there.
but I will. But there was, and once again, there was something wrong with the execution, because as this reveal is happening, this speech about it doesn't matter who you are, you can be important too, is they throw a fucking ad for Star Wars toys in there.
Pretty much.
BB-8, suck my dick.
No, I'm talking about.
He's not a flat earther, you know, Amanda.
I know, but
I don't.
I'm talking about how during that speech it cuts to a little kid, that little kid that was in the stables of the casino, and he's playing with Star Wars toys. Like Star Wars action figures. He's got Star Wars action figures in his hand and he's playing with them. While there's this moving speech about how you don't have to be related to someone important to make something of yourself.
Yeah, I found that to be really cringy and not Star Warsy at all. That whole last thing not be there.
I was going to say product placement in Star Wars is wrong.
Yes,
it is just wrong.
We were all waiting for the can of Coke or Pepsi in the Rise of Skywalker.
Don't give Disney any fucking ideas.
I know, right? It ends up that C-3PO's heart is like a can of Coke or some shit. They put it up and it's just inside.
So,
they're going to rename the lightsaber to the mouse saber.
Yeah. So shall we move on to the Rise of Skywalker?
If we must.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed that Episode 8 should be deleted from history.
Yeah.
Chris won't. He's not here, so fuck it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go around to his house and I'm just going to replace the DVD with it like a good film.
Well, we're about to talk about a good film, Badger.
Oh,
He didn't let Badger have a rant though. He should be allowed to have a bit of a rant about episode 8.
Doesn't Badger rant?
Yeah, so let's.
We got to let him get it out. Rant however you want, Badger. Well, Ring will give you 10 minutes. Then we have to go on the last.
Whoa!
I'll give him
Jen.
5.
No,
give him 5.
I'll give him 5.
Oh, we're doing that now, are we?
Yeah, now.
Right.
Go.
Episode 8, the floor is yours.
Here's my notes. Film opens. Palpatine sends a message. Why? Why does he do this? He's already got a massive fucking fleet. Why does he need to send
we wanted you to rant on episode 8.
Yeah. Oh. Well, episode 8.
Yeah.
Right,
we thought you had a rant about episode 8 that you were holding on to.
Rant about episode 8. The bombers. They're stupid. Rian Johnson shouldn't have just tried to make the film based on a World War II video scene. He should have actually looked at how things work in Star Wars. Rian Johnson overall is just terrible, and he has himself admitted he did not give a shit about Star Wars continuity while making the film. He just wanted to make a fun film that looked a bit World War II-y. He's an absolute fucking idiot who should not have been allowed anywhere near Star Wars. Moving on from that, why is there just interspersed comedy and sad moments in the opening? There's no consistency of tone. What? Just look, I've got a message for your mother. Oh yeah, great, that's funny. Oh no, all the people on the bombers are dying horribly because the bombers are badly designed. Oh, we're down on this planet that looks like it's covered in snow. How are we going to differentiate this from Hoth? I know, we'll have one of the fucking rebel soldiers just lick the floor and just go salt. And while we're at it, where do those rebel soldiers go? They don't die because there's no bodies. They're bombarded by TIE fighters and walkers and the entire firepower of the assembled First Order, but you never fucking see them again. There's no evidence they were ever there. But they're not on the Falcon at the end, so presumably they just wandered off. Where did they go? I think Rian Johnson's never heard of shot continuity. And they did character assassination for fucking everyone. Jonah Holdo is absolutely awful. If they had to have a ramming scene, it should have been Akbar. Fuck Disney.
Okay.
And Rian
Hey, Badger.
Yes.
How many times have you seen these movies?
That one, once.
Yeah, sure. Because for me, I saw it once in the theater.
You're right. You're muted, Jen.
I said he took a note down into the cinema with him.
Talking.
Yeah.
I was saying that I only saw it once in the theaters, and I don't remember it like that. So fuck you. You've seen it a bunch of times, Badger. I know you have.
Well, actually, I've only seen Last Jedi once.
I've seen
but you saw it recently.
No.
In the theaters.
No, I saw Last Jedi like a year or two ago.
All right.
I've seen.
Okay, well, when did people last see it?
Saw it once in the theaters.
I don't know. I've seen it once.
So a couple of years ago.
Lots of bits of it over and over and over again as I've been pointing out everything wrong with them.
Okay. I have seen it. I have actually seen it twice.
I saw episode 8. Okay, actually it was more like 6 months ago, like last October, because I wanted to watch it before I went and saw Rise of Skywalker, which I didn't end up doing because of money issues.
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out, and I saw it back in January because I rewatched it before going and seeing Rise of Skywalker, which I then didn't go and see because I was so disappointed with watching the stupid episode 8 again. I didn't think I could put up with watching 9.
Yeah, so now, so question. Do we want to talk about the good Disney Star Wars stuff now, or do we want to do it as a palate cleanser after we finish?
Do you want to do
Skywalker?
Do you want to actually do good Disney stuff next week and
No,
actually?
We don't want to fucking have two fucking no.
Well, we can. No, I mean we can talk about the Mandalorian then.
Well, we could do good. We could do the one good Disney thing next week, as long as we can.
And then we could actually do, because we were actually talking about doing the game night in next month anyway, so we could just push the game night ahead a week.
Oh yeah,
and do Mandalorian next, because we still haven't done episode 9.
Yeah,
I can do.
Yeah, and we're about an hour in, so let's save the Disney expanded stuff for next week.
Because then we can talk about Clone Wars, and we can talk about Mandalorian. We can talk about the other stuff that actually isn't that bad.
Yeah,
and maybe even Rogue One.
Watching the Clone Wars. I think he's going to do it with TV time with me about it, but I'm proud of him for powering through the first season.
Yeah, I'm working on. Well, I won't be able to talk much about the Clone Wars because I'm working on binging my way through seasons 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that's for me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I gotta watch Jessica Jones season 3. I just don't have the patience for it.
Somebody offered to do Stranger Things with me yesterday, so I gotta get through that.
I could not get into that show.
So now we're gonna talk about, since we're moving to episode 9, I'm gonna start and say there's something that they did with hyperdrive in episode 9 that I did not like.
Okay.
I think I know what it is.
The light skipping.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah, because as far as I was aware, to go into hyperspace, you had to be out of a gravity well. But no, it's just skipping from like planet to planet, just hyperspace, which, in my opinion, also really breaks Star Wars.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't necessary anyway. The Sith could have had a hidden world that all you needed was a map to it.
They didn't even need a hidden world. There's already this.
Well, no, okay. No, I'm talking about when they're trying to get, how episode 9 opens. When they're trying to get away from the First Order.
Yeah.
And they're doing that bullshit light skipping thing with the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. I actually break that out of my headcanon. It was so bad.
I mean,
don't they go through an ice wall or something? But it's after the others went through the ice wall, so it doesn't make any sense that they should have to break through it. And it's just
any of it makes sense.
No.
Yeah. I was almost. I think with that beginning scene, it reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and that scene where they're just jumping through stuff like that in the ship, and I was just like, the only thing missing was the Stan Lee cameo. That was about it.
Sorry,
could have just had him as the alien at the start.
So yeah, that alien that's like 5 minutes, and then a really, really grim cameo later.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I got the
thing if they hear a voice through the void.
Yeah, it's like. So I did like the opening crawl, or like how the opening crawl was written, because it was very like pulp newsreel sort of thing, and I kind of like that tone to it.
But I didn't like the whole thing. I mean, yeah, I could get Palpatine maybe reaching out to Kylo, but everybody had heard it. No,
yeah, like the content was the content was but I did like how it was written.
I mean, me. Oh, sorry. No, go on, Ring.
Yeah, and like I said, this is specific to the opening crawl.
Okay, not specific to the opening crawl. Does anybody else think they should have made Finn and Poe lovers?
Yes.
They were. I swear to God, they were hinting at it in the first episode. In episode 7, it really seems that way, and I think that would have been grand.
Yeah,
they would have actually.
See the memes. Just, I want someone who looks at me like Poe looks at Finn wearing his jacket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, they so should have.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Sorry, I know you were talking about the opening shit, but I had to get better.
He even does the sort of the downward eyes and the slight kind of lip motion. He's just there like, hey, that's my jacket, and Finn starts taking it off, and he's there like he does the bedroom eyes. He's like, no, it looks good on you.
Okay, what about the concept of Force lightning being an inherited trait?
Okay.
That was way too fucking much. Here's this clone that just pretty much woke up. Can't even fucking walk and shit because he's got to use that stupid thing. But he can bring down an entire fleet with his fingers and some lightning.
Okay.
That's so
okay.
stupid.
We're not quite there yet.
But I'm talking about Rey having. Oh, that's how you can prove that Rey actually is the granddaughter of Palpatine's clone because she can do Force lightning. No.
So okay, so since we're talking about Rey shooting Force lightning, it dovetails rather nicely into another one of my big issues with The Rise of Skywalker, is that they try and have big emotional moments and then almost immediately undercut them. Because you have Chewie being loaded onto the transport, and then you have Rey accidentally destroying it with Force lightning. And,
oh no! If only the director hadn't said I had to shoot lightning now.
There are two fucking ships right in front of her face. How does she not remember that there were two fucking ships?
Yeah. No,
lightning in the brain.
No, there. In the shot, there's only one ship.
At the beginning, though, when they first get there, there are two right in front of her.
But when there's that scene, it looks like there's only one transport. So it's shot in a way to make the audience think that Chewie dies. And then the very next scene is like, oh, Chewie was on another transport. And I'm like, fuck you, Ryan, fuck you, J.J. Abrams, for setting up that big emotional moment and then immediately pulling the rug out.
Pulling it back, yeah. Oh my God, that was
what else it looks like in that shot?
And
it looks like we should have been watching a better film.
And also, if they hadn't done that, or because I did like the Chewie rescue scene. So if they had another way for Chewie to have been captured and thought to have been killed but survived, I would have been fine with that. And I think that would have been a much better reason for Rey to try and go into isolation. It's like, holy shit, I just killed one of my best friends with dark force powers. I'm too dangerous. I need to be gone.
And then she also have felt it, though. I mean, as force sensitive as she was, shouldn't she have known that he was still alive?
Yeah, I would have thought that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Aside from that, Force lightning is a taught skill. It's taught to the Sith to use, and even some Grey Jedis can use it. So, no, it's not an inherited trait.
My understanding, and people can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I probably am, that it is generally associated with dark side, but it doesn't necessarily mean that only dark side users can use it. I think it was that the Jedi more or less banned its use.
Yeah, because it is closely associated. It is somewhat associated
but
with.
It's not to say that
leading, withdrawing from the dark side.
Yeah. There's different schools of thought within the Jedi on it, because you have the sort of the main Jedi Order that's very much anything vaguely dark sidey we don't want, because you fall to the dark side.
It's temptation.
And there's Grey Jedi and other places where, and I think it's best exemplified by Kyle Katarn in the game Jedi Academy, where he says, "Powers aren't inherently good or evil; it's how you use them."
And actually, I think there's a there's a couple Jedi in the like Clone Wars era Jedi, like one or two, that there's like one and is like maybe his Padawan that use like a very, very tamped down version of Force Lightning as basically just kind of like a Force taser.
And let's face it, using her using Force Lightning in the context of Star Wars as a whole thing wouldn't have shown that she was Palpatine's granddaughter anyway, because we saw Dooku use Force Lightning.
Yeah,
she could have been Dooku's granddaughter or anyone else's. It was just a stupid plot line that
my point. My point in that scene is she's getting very emotional, and then the lightning goes off. So she's she is losing it a bit in that tug of war, and lets her emotions get the best of her, and she taps into the dark side and shoots that blast of lightning. I think that's a better reason for her to decide to go into isolation than, oh no, I'm related to Palpatine.
Oh yeah, that would make way more sense. But I don't think it proves anything like what Palpatine was trying to say to Kylo. But here's another thing that pisses me off. Kylo was quite happy to kill his master and become the top, well, not even a Sith, but the top Dark Force user in the galaxy and take on the thing. He comes across Palpatine, and there's all these ships there that he just for the taking for whoever is the most powerful Jedi or a Force user on the planet, and Palpatine's in a weakened state. Kylo would have killed the fucker.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way in this world he was going to listen to him, because he didn't listen to anybody. That was the way his character was. Why the hell would he do what Palpatine wanted?
Yeah.
It's not even within his character arc within the movies.
I mean, we know Palpatine's manipulative, but he didn't have time to. He didn't really have the time to manipulate Kylo in that respect.
He didn't, and Kylo had already taken his place as supreme leader. What did he?
It is hinted that Palpatine had been manipulating Kylo from essentially the beginning because as the voice in his head.
Why was Kylo there at all? Why didn't he just show up with his massive army that he's now the head of?
Yeah.
Hey, there's something I forgot to mention from the last movie, and it's that Rose sucks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Worst character.
Especially when she stops him. Oh, fuck it. Okay, I just hate Rose so fucking much.
Yeah, Rose. Now, since we are talking last the Rise of Skywalker, and I'll go ahead and mention a new character that's added in there that is actually really good. Zori Bliss, Poe's shady ex-confidant.
Yeah, I like her too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This is one of the actually vaguely interesting characters in the film.
And actually, we know the films.
Yeah, and actually, one of the best scenes, one of the best scenes of the film, and it's only like a split second, is at the end when they're all celebrating the destruction of the fleet, and Poe, and Bliss look at each other and just like, do we want to get back together? No, I don't. Okay, and there's no words. That was a well shot and well acted scene.
Yeah. All right. Here's some notes for you from that planet. What I wrote as I watched that scene was the previous note was sudden lightning, and the next note is, oh, this place looks interesting, dark, snowy, and full of smugglers. I bet we'll leave before learning anything about it.
well,
next line is, yep.
I had kind of gotten ahead of myself because I was talking about a scene at the very end of the movie. There's actually a lot of little things that I like near the end of the movie, but the movie as a whole,
there's a lot of things in episode 9 I actually like, unlike in episode 8 where most of it I don't like. But episode 9 actually has some good bits, but there's bits of it that just don't make any sense.
Can we talk about that fucking terrible lightsaber fight? That was just trash.
What do you mean when they kept changing scenery? That one?
The one on the Death Star on the sea.
Oh, that was
that was fucking awful. Whoever choreographed it should be fired and drug out to the street and shot because it was garbage. And it's not like, I mean, you've seen Adam Driver be able to wield a lightsaber very well. That wasn't his fault. It was whoever choreographed it. It was badly done.
I even forgot there was a fight there. That's how bad it was.
Oh, right. So let me read you my notes on that fight. Here they go again, swinging to miss. No tension. Reverse grip, not even pretending to be aiming for each other anymore. Luke would have killed both of them in 2 seconds flat.
Scumber, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've gone through everything that is fucking bad about that movie, and there's a lot that's bad about it. But
have we gone through everything?
Let's try. Well, not everything. We've gone through a lot of what is bad about that movie. However, does that movie have any redeeming qualities?
Yeah,
I'm of the opinion, and that considering the mess that it had to tidy up, it did about as good of a job as could be reasonably expected. There's still a lot of fucking awful. It's still really bad in a lot of respects, but I think you know, contextualizing it to just how much that episode 8 really messed things up.
I think it did as good a job as could be expected, given how much fan wank Disney decided to give the fans to try to make up for 8.
Yeah,
I actually think it would have been a better movie had they not done that.
So there is.
Sorry, I was just saying, I don't even see why Lando Calrissian really needed to be in the blooming. Here's Lando. What purpose does he actually serve to the plot?
Pretty much none.
Yeah.
Apart from to make it make less sense, like when they go, they're introducing Lando, and somebody just goes, "Oh, we know who he is."
So before
does any of the people know who he is? They've never met him before.
Badger, let Ring speak. It's his channel.
Yeah. So before we get into the list of things that I liked, or before we get into the silver linings, I will say there are a couple. I will list a couple, like one kind of problem that I had is the whole the whole connection between Rey and like how things like start teleporting between them when they have their force confrontations. It's like it's basically like if someone was playing like a D&D campaign and it was like, hey, can I do this like one can I have this one thing happen for flavor while we're having this conversation? And he's like, and the DM's like, okay, sure, I'll allow it. And then when they get to the Sith planet, they're exploiting the hell out of the thing that the DM allowed that the DM originally allowed for flavor and plot reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I didn't have as much problem with Palpatine shooting that massive lightning storm.
Oh, fuck that.
Because I kind of saw it as Exegol is the the Sith planet. So I kind of saw it as like a nexus of dark force energy, which
I think that could
dark
be
side
explained
powers.
away if you really had to. That whilst it's problematic, it's probably not the most problematic thing with it.
Yeah,
I mean this whole thing of a Force user giving up their life to bring another Force user back to life. Yes, I know it's Force healing, but that's a bit over the top.
Giving up the life thing was stupid. Although I did fucking cry like a bitch when he died. I'll admit that.
Yeah, I mean, it was moving, and I'm kind of glad that it fitted in with what they were doing, but I didn't like it within the context of Star Wars in and of itself. But I get the point for it.
And I didn't like the Palpatine feeding on their bond between to make himself younger. What I think would have been better and would have kept Rey being just a nobody child, possibly having been a Padawan of Luke, random Padawan of Luke.
Yeah.
Is if the Palpatine clone was sustaining himself by leeching the Force from light side Force sensitives from Jedi.
Yeah.
And that could be why he wanted Rey instead of this bullshit. We must complete this ritual so
it would have made so much more sense, and it would have explained why Rey had abilities that she didn't think she had, and you could have even explained the Force lightning that way by saying there was a dual influence because of Palpatine stealing from her, and then
and the whole her parents hiding her from Palpatine, that could have been why, is because Palpatine was sending out forces to get Force sensitives that he could feed off of.
Yeah.
Why did he have to kill his son?
Yeah.
I'm not not totally sure I understand like the logic in that.
Yeah, but that would have made sense if they hadn't been, if they just been the parents of this Force sensitive kid who'd taken her back from the Jedi Temple when she was young enough and given her some sort of technology that there was in the Star Wars universe to help her forget what had happened.
Yeah.
Some.
You were going to say something.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing that I only watched that film once. There's one thing, part of it that I didn't get with that was the fact that it was convoluted in the fact that for one moment it was as if Palpatine was wanting Rey to take her destiny and like rule the galaxy or something as a Palpatine, and then for him to only just turn on her and then he's going to be Emperor again. It's like to me, that just seems out of character for Palpatine in the start. That I could buy him more that he's going to use Rey in some other way to restore himself to that.
Yeah,
he's not. He doesn't strike me that he gives a shit about bloodlines, especially considering if you look at what is unfortunately now Legends material. We know what happened to Palpatine's immediate family in the Darth Plagueis book.
And so let's move on to things that we liked.
They just gave him a load of vaguely evil sounding lines so that they could have him in the film and get him to do the Palpatine cackle again.
Yeah, and Oh, and okay,
That's all he's doing there.
You know, one last note before we move on to silver linings. A lot of the dialogue, particularly in the beginning of the movie, is just straight, blatant, you know, not even trying to be clever about it, exposition.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it might have well just have been, you know, just exposition, you know, exposition, like, they just could have been saying exposition.
And it could have been put in a scroll at the beginning.
That they do.
Yeah. Okay, so things that we liked. I like that moment in the back alley droid shop where 3PO is like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose all my memories." So he takes one last look at Poe and Rey and Finn, and like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm taking one last look at my friends." That got me.
I fucking hate
Exactly.
C-3PO, and that got me.
He doesn't know them, apart from maybe Poe.
No, I agree. I really ring. I think that was one of the better things in that film was that moment.
Yeah, I loved it too. I thought it was a brilliant scene. My only problem with that is how was 3PO actually knowing these guys?
For a couple years, I think.
That's what the suggestion is, that Rey's been training for a couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah.
At this point.
But then in a lot of ways though, it doesn't matter how long they've been friends to, you know, as to whether they're to be really close or whatever.
Yeah, especially since, you know,
we only
have to
look at sorry. I was just saying, we only have to look at some relationships in our own community that are like quite strong or whatever, and people haven't known each other really that long. So I didn't have an issue on that. I don't have an issue on that respect, Jem, with what they did for 3PO.
No, I know in the time frame sort of works for them to be close friends, but we don't see any of that.
Okay,
we don't see 3PO build that friendship. Yes. Whereas if something like that had happened, say in Empire Strikes Back, and 3PO had had to have his brain wiped to get something out of it, imagine the level of emotion for that. Where all these characters have known 3PO for all this time, we've seen them interact and everything, and now basically their friend's dying. It didn't have the same effect because we didn't see that with that.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't really the other actor's delivery. It was 3PO's delivery that got it.
Oh, yeah, no, 3PO's delivery, Anthony Daniels, brilliant. But having said that, if there'd been more build-up for 3PO to have had a relationship with these people, I think it would have worked better. And possibly that would have been there if it hadn't been for Rian Johnson's stupid second movie.
Yeah, I would possibly argue, and people again might disagree with me, I think in the entire franchise history, that's possibly the best moment to see 3PO as a character.
I really agree.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because 3PO spends most of the franchise's comic relief.
It's comic relief, or he's there, but that's the first. I think it's the first time you feel any like real, where you really feel for him, for C-3PO as a character. I think it's a real emotional thing. It's like, or maybe that scene that makes you realise that you do have an emotional investment in him.
Yeah, a better way of putting it. It could have worked if Chewie had been with them at the time.
Yeah,
that would have improved.
It would have worked a lot better.
Yes.
That whole thing of when we thought Chewbacca was dead, that was
because they didn't take that off anyway. But if Chewie had been there, that emotional thing, especially how close Chewie was to 3PO, you'd see Chewie get upset about what was going to happen, and maybe even trying to stop them from doing it because he doesn't want to lose his friend. That would have, it was pretty heart-wrenching as it was. But it really could have made the scene.
You see Chewie howling like he did when Han Solo was putting carbonite. That not necessarily getting that violent, but getting like howling like he did then.
Yeah, and actually, you could have had the First Order take back the dagger in some other way, and they would have had to have that raid scene to get the dagger.
Exactly, and we could have had Chewie there, and then looking at his friends.
That raid scene, I liked that raid scene. That scene where they rescue Chewie. Because
that last look at my friends could have worked. Chewie's there. He's known Chewie for years. Poe, he's probably known because Poe was already there with the Rebels, and 3PO would have known him. And he'd spent a lot of time recently with Rey, and we knew that. So if he'd looked across at those three in particular, the depth of that scene would have been just so much better. But they fucked that up by doing a non-payoff scene about Chewie getting killed.
Well, obviously the plan was obviously to get C-3PO's memory restored. But I almost kind of wonder if they could have made a moment where he actually is kind of killed off as a character, but then I think you would have to have R2-D2 in the scene as well. But I don't know. I'm just
he could have worked out to trying to restore his memory and finding out he couldn't.
Yeah,
at the end. So he's not quite 3PO, but he has a little bit.
Yeah.
Of it. That could have been another tearjerker. And we're gonna get 3PO. Oh.
Yeah.
And it totally pays off 3PO's sacrifice then. Whereas in the end, we don't get that payoff of that.
Yeah. That was the other instance where I, didn't really like the fact that, there was this big emotional moment and then there was no payoff to it.
We are so hating on this at the moment. Even the best thing in the movie we've turned into.
But it is less of an issue for the C-3PO thing because they did mention that R2-D2 did have a backup.
Yeah. But 3PO did say that R2 couldn't maintain a proper backup.
Yeah, and it was well, that read more as
3PO didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, 3PO being 3PO.
Hey, Badger.
Hello.
Are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. What do you want to say about this, Badger? Come on, talk about 3PO scene.
I think there was... I think if they want to imply that people are friends, they have to actually make them friends. They had a whole 3 films to do it, and they didn't fucking do it.
Yep, I agree.
But
do you agree that they really needed Chewie there to make that scene work?
I think they needed any of the original cast there rather than these made-up new characters. Nobody gives a shit about.
Chewie was the only one they could have there, or maybe Lando as well.
Yeah.
Who by that time buggered off again, so he wasn't even there.
Yeah, I think they just needed to not have only the Disney characters that are awful.
Can we talk about how stupid that fucking scene is where they go to the carnival, or not the car, you know what I mean? The thing where she gets the fucking necklace and shit. That's just dumb. It's just fucking dumb.
Yeah.
It was 15 fucking minutes of that movie, and it dragged. And I know Lando was there, and that was cool, and that was the payoff of it. But up to that, it was fucking just. It was.
It would have been better if it was shorter because I liked establishing that I liked the kind of extra weirdness of it.
No, but that the First Order knows where you are, knows what planets you are on, and is coming after you. So you go fucking hang out and look at stupid necklaces and shit. What the fuck is that about?
About that scene. Why?
Shallow.
Why does nobody keep their heads down or wear a hood? Like a disguise. Ray she's having a conversation with one of the locals, and she just wanders off in the middle of it. Just fucks off. The guy's just standing there like, oh.
But I liked the festival as a backdrop.
Festival. Okay. That's the word.
Yeah, but as a backdrop, it works. But Amanda's right. They spent too long in it when they were in a hurry.
Dragged and it was and you're like, fucking run, you stupid twat! What the fuck are you doing? No, I'm gonna hang out and chill with these people and
what the hell was that stupid fight with Rey and Kylo when Kylo's in the ship and Rey's on the? What the hell?
Yeah.
That's not how the Force works.
Yeah.
No. And aside from that, Kylo has as much force ability as Rey does. Kylo ain't gonna miss.
Yeah.
She would have to. She couldn't be turning her back and running away and have him miss. She would be dead. She would have to be standing there fighting off that with her saber. But no, she turns away and runs the other direction. What?
You could have done something like that, where someone tries to find someone else through the Force, and they have a little battle in their minds, and you could even play that in the stupid comedy tone they were trying to go for in the film, where they're having a battle in their minds and it's all shadowy, and then they're trying to outsmart each other and outforce each other, and then all the other people just watching Rey just stand there like, and they will go, Rey, what's happening? They could have played it like that.
Thing. I mean,
some fucking bullshit about passing matter through the Force.
Yeah.
Rey and Kylo standoff where Kylo's in the ship and Rey's on the desert would have made so much more sense if Rey had run towards the ship, knocking away the shots from the ship with her saber, and then slid underneath the ship and cut it from underneath with the. But no, she has to turn around and flip backwards and look like a prat.
Yeah. So we'll move to another thing, another scene that I particularly liked is when they're assaulting the Sith fleet. There are actually quite a few scenes, a few bits in that where I liked. It's like, so they jump the signal to the destroyer, which I'll ignore the bit. It's like, why do they need a signal to leave? But maybe to like coordinate the fleet or something. I don't know. But
to get the fleet out of the area they're in because of how hard it is to navigate. That was the excuse anyway.
Yeah. But so and the lander lands on the destroyer, and I love the exchanges. Like they're landing ground troops. It's like, jam their speeders. They're not on speeders, and then it's a cavalry charge. I loved that scene.
I thought that it was kind of cool. Apart from that, they could literally have just tipped the Star Destroyer.
Oh yeah.
The cow tipping with Star Destroyers.
I mean, I thought we were supposed to be getting into like redeeming things about this, about these. Well, we would get into it. There's still we get into them. There's still things to bitch about.
No,
I kind of like that scene too, though. I must admit.
Yeah, it's like
I think.
Yeah.
Again, I think ultimately the damage was done in Episode 8. I think Rise of Skywalker was possibly as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
You could argue. I know that's arguable, but considering what had been the amount of fucking damage that had been done from a storytelling sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
And once again, that is what has come back to my whole issue with those three films. The main, this new trilogy has been the storytelling. I get obviously some fans of upset that they've changed a lot of the lore and canon. I get that, but that's not a hill I'm going to die on. I don't mind them making a whole new lore and canon or whatever to go off of, if the storytelling is good. And that has been a real issue with those trilogy. Now, obviously, if you get into like some of the other stuff, which I think we're going to talk next week, like some of the other stuff like Rogue One, Mandalorian, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some better examples which prove Disney can kind of, they can tell a better story than what they did. But in that new trilogy, that was the big thing. And my big takeaway from the whole thing was the storytelling and character development was just all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, if they told a good story, I think a lot of people would forgiven them for messing around with established lore and whatever. I mean, okay, not a lot of diehards. I'm sure Badger wouldn't have approved of them changing Mandalorian culture at all. But
no,
I will point out one final bit of good storytelling in The Rise of Skywalker. Once again, we're talking the assault on the fleet, where they let it go to where, it looks like the little strike force that they had put together is going to be annihilated. No one's showing up to help them, and then you hear Lando come on the radio. It's like, but we're here, or whatever that line. Oh, but you're not alone. And then, that massive, quote unquote fleet of just like everyone who has a bone to pick with the First Order just showing up. And, it's like at the end of Two Towers with Gandalf and the Rohirrim, just riding, it's the arrival of the cavalry. And that scene was done very well. And actually the celebration afterwards was also handled very well.
I mean, I don't know if we are going to get in on summing up or whatever, but just based on what Manda's put in the private chat, I don't know if Manda wants to do any final thoughts on this now.
I'm going to bounce because I need to go scream a little bit. But
you know what? Yeah, we are kind of summing up, so go ahead and show yourself.
Sum up and show yourself, Manda.
I have Eric Murphy on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Ooh, awesome.
Really good. I mean, and I have Ring next week doing Jessica Jones, and I have Digital Home Robbie, but that's on Saturday, and then I have Dr. Josh on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
Sure. So, and I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for having me, guys. But I'm gonna get going. So I love all of you here. I love all of you in the chat, and I will see you soon.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm Amanda.
See that, Amanda. I hope you feel better soon.
Okay, Badger, you can have your 5 minutes.
All right, give me a second.
Everyone mute so Badger can get it out of the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll mute.
Right, I'm not quite prepared for this because my mood's all gone through the floor. Give me a second.
Do you want Jeff to go first?
Yeah, yes, please.
Go on, Jeff.
Okay.
No. I want to hear Badger go first because if I can, I'm going to try and end mine on a positive note. See, let's try and leave on a positive, Badger. So let's let Badger tear it up, son.
All right, give me a second.
Tear Disney a new one. The mouse doesn't take it.
What? Just try to be gentle, okay?
No. So that ending scene. Okay, actually, before we get to the ending scene, let's talk about Palpatine. And let's talk about people's knowledge of Palpatine. Let's go with Poe, for example. Somehow, Palpatine is returned. That's just stellar writing. And for a start, how does Poe even fucking know who Palpatine is? How do any of them know who he is? And how do any of them know he's returned? Only Leia has any kind of intimate knowledge of who the fuck Palpatine even was, and she wasn't actually present for the events where he died. Going back to the opening of the film, Kylo still can't use a fucking lightsaber. Why isn't he just bringing his massive army instead of doing everything himself like a fucking idiot? Chewie is too smooth. He looks like Chewie, but with hair gel all over him. My next note is, maybe Daisy Ridley can't act because she suddenly just becomes like a stiff piece of wood in the middle of half the scenes. How big is Palpatine's fleet exactly? Who is manning this fleet? Where have they pulled this extra planet out of their ass from? Why didn't they use any of the perfectly good Sith planets that are already in the expanded universe? Everything in this film feels rushed and strung together. There's more depth in a single episode of The Mandalorian than there is in this entire film. Look, all the random bullshit characters that they've made up get to show up at the end and have a single piece of dialogue where they tie up all their story arcs that didn't exist. What else we got? Sith Wayfinder. Let's introduce more and more one-line MacGuffins instead of actually explaining anything. We know who Lando is. No, we don't. Nobody in this scene has met Lando before, and they don't explain how anyone knows who Lando is. They fly now? Of course they fly now. They've had jetpacks for literally millennia at this point. Why do you not know, Mr. Former Stormtrooper, that there are jet troopers? You fucking dumbass. Your dagger looks stupid. Rey finally acts like a Jedi for one moment in the film where she does the force healing on the snaky thing and then suddenly just goes, I'm going to just tuck that back in the Jedi box and never do it again. Yeah, there was that nice, interesting planet with all the smugglers and the snow on it. Let's hope that we hear some more about that. They blew it up. Nobody can use a lightsaber. Palpatine pulls powers out of his ass. Force dyads are bullshit. They had a nice speech at the end. Look, they're giving Chewie a medal, even though Chewie has never expressed a want to have this medal. Fuck off. Rey's lightsaber looked nice, though.
That's a good comment to make.
Actually, yeah, Badger went through a lot of the issues that I had. Aside from the lore specific ones. Yeah, why do we need the Wayfinder when we know, when even Legends casual like myself knows that holocrons are a thing.
Yeah.
Could have been a Sith holocron. But before I pass it on to others for final thoughts, and I will say, I will mention another thing that I liked about another moment that I liked about Rise of Skywalker is that it turns out the spy is that First Order general that was Kylo's rival, and he was just doing it to screw over Kylo Ren. That worked for me.
That was actually a decent plot twist.
Yeah.
I got one more comment actually, but I'm going to try to frame it in not quite so ranty a format. I'm going to use a meme. Hi, I'm Peter Parker. I'm Rey Skywalker. We're using our made-up names?
Okay. So, Jen, any final thoughts on Disney, on the Disney trilogy?
Yeah, I think we've covered all the bad stuff. I tend to agree with Jeff that given that they were trying so hard to try and appease the fans, which they didn't quite end up doing, I can understand why JJ went down the road he did for 9. But I think there were better ways they could have done the same thing, and people would have been happy with it. It's a mouse saber. Look, I mean, in all honesty, Palpatine wasn't needed at all. That was just fan wank. The story could have got where it needed to get without any of that bullshit going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of feeling sad that given what JJ was actually able to do as far as an actual fuel for a movie went, even though it was very rushed because he had to shove so much stuff in 9, if they hadn't had that bullshit that was 8, I actually think if he'd done all 3 movies, I actually think we could have had a reasonable trilogy. I'm okay, one that would still have pissed off hardcore fans, but a reasonable trilogy. Because of Johnson, we did not.
Yeah.
We got shit. We got a great big stinking pile of it, unfortunately.
So, Scummer, let's end this on a positive note.
Jeff's frozen.
Yeah.
Here's a positive note that Manda will like. At least there was no Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff is currently singing Let It Go, Let It Go.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore.
Okay, but yeah, basically I kind of view the the Disney trilogy as, as more of a mix, like it's more of a mixed bag than the prequels, but it's got less shining gems to it.
Yes, definitely. And it could have just been so much better. They had the potential to make something epic, and they completely dropped the ball. And you're kind of thinking that I know that the Marvel stuff that Disney do isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it's 1,000 times better and fits with the way the Marvel universe works compared to what they did with Disney Star Wars. And they had all these talented people already working for Disney doing other projects. Why didn't you call on one of them to at least look over what you were trying to do in Star Wars to make it decent?
Yeah, Disney was too busy trying to make a buck off, make something that they can make a buck off of to worry about making something good.
Oh, they were trying to make merchandise. I mean, that's why you had the what are they called? The stupid little things where Luke was in episode 8.
The Porgs?
Porgs, and that's why you had.
I don't really have an issue with the Porgs, especially.
I don't necessarily either. It's just it was so obvious. Oh, everyone's going to want a Porg for Christmas.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. In last,
it's the only decent scene that Chewie had in episode 8 was with the Porgs.
Yeah, where he's got one roasting over the fire, the other one's like watching sadly.
Yeah. That was decent. That was actually a decent scene. And again, it was comic relief.
But
Disney were able to do the comic relief bits. The problem is they weren't able to do the serious bits that needed to be done.
Yeah. And they tried to say, some things about neo-Nazis, but they half-assed it, and it didn't come across in any kind of meaningful manner. I know that Media Musings is usually about trying to get into the themes of things, and yes, there are some themes to the Disney Star Wars, but they're so half-assed that there's not really a lot of substance to talk about in regards to themes. And
there's a lot of things that, the other thing, I know Disney is purely science fantasy, that they really needed a science advisor on this team when they were writing some of those scripts.
Or at least a
story editor who could actually follow the lore of the universe, because it was ridiculous. I mean, you could suspend disbelief to a certain extent, but at a certain point, they're just regurgitating crap.
Yeah. Basically, it could have been good if they had given half an ass to try and put some effort into making it good. But no, they just wanted a cash cow.
Yeah. And they paid for it in what happened with Solo, which itself was probably a better movie than Episode 8.
I haven't seen Solo.
I think it was a better movie than Episode 8.
It was a better film.
If you take it just as if you take it as it being within a different universe, it doesn't include the written stuff, the books. It's actually not a bad origin story for Solo.
It was a better film than, I'd argue, any of that trilogy they made. It had its own problems, but it was enjoyable.
I would probably put it on a level with The Force Awakens because of some of the problems that it had with it. But it was a good little movie. A Rogue One is probably, to my mind, the best of all the Disney movies.
And I'm gonna lump Rogue.
We're going to do them next week, aren't we? As part of next week.
Yeah, next week we're gonna talk about what Disney did well. So let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. So, Bad Tempered Badger, go ahead and chill yourself.
Hello, I'm a Bad Tempered Badger, and I talk about how Disney is non-canon and occasionally other topics on the internet. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Gab, BitChute, Minds, and Pornhub. And if you would like to come on my channel for a discussion, you can email me at badger@cock.li. I'm open to essentially discussions on, within reason, any topic, within reason, any person, as long as we can have a pleasant conversation about it.
Okay. And now that Jeff is back, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think that was Palpatine from somewhere out there screwing with my internet using the dark side. Yeah, I think missed opportunities is what I'd say with the new trilogy on the whole. I think it all three of them needed to be one person's kind of vision with this, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Obviously, what with George Lucas had with his trilogies, it kind of needed to be someone's vision. You know, they change stuff halfway through. People who have their own ideas or whatever. I think it probably could have been a lot better had they had one person to direct or write all three or something. It just would have been better, I think. I'm not going to say it was all bad. There was. I still maintain Episode 7 was a decent movie. We all know Episode 8 it took a jump off the cliff there. Completely.
Yeah. Well, we're all in agreement there. I don't think any one of us actually thinks that's close to a good movie.
Episode 9, as good as problematic as it was, as good as it could have been, without but considering the mess that had been made of Episode 8, it was as good as it could have been. I feel. Yeah, it's a lot of missed opportunities there. So, do we need to do? Are we on shilling part now as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, people know my channel, Godless Scummer. What have I got coming up? Next Sunday I have a stream coming up. It'll be on my channel this time with Hissy, where we're continuing our Asterix series, which we're having a lot of fun with. So please feel free to come and check them out. But if I'm not about on my channel, I'm usually about on Dave's channel a few times a week. So I'm about in the community. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And anything else?
No, but maybe all hail Darth Mickey.
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy. Oh!
There we go.
Oh,
Badger can be Mickey.
Hey, come on. If they'd put Mickey in it, it couldn't have been any worse than what it was. I mean, episode 8. I'm talking about.
Can we make it? I could make an argument that Lego Star Wars should be considered canon.
Yeah,
It'd be better than that trilogy.
I am absolutely amazed Disney didn't try to make a little alien that looked like a mouse and call it Mickey. Just so they could sell Mickey merchandise for Star Wars.
And since we are talking Star Wars and Disney, ironic. He could save others from irrelevance, but not himself. Okay, Jen.
I'm Jen for Jen's Little Corner. Sorry, I haven't put out much in the last week. I've had personal issues that I'm at home to deal with. There should be a new video out in the next couple of days, debunking one, but I've also got a stream tomorrow morning with Navadia. It's actually on her channel where we are interviewing Dr. Carl Krusniski, who is a Australian science communicator. He's kind of our Bill Nye, but with Hawaiian shirts. And he's really awesome, so people should tune in and watch that. I'm also doing a Raising Voices stream with Shay and Callan during the week. And then later in the week, Jen Aldrich and myself are doing a panel where we're discussing why people will deny science to hang on to their beliefs. The guests for that will be Shannon Q, Aaron Ra, and Mr. Atheist. But he's not called that anyway. Jimmy Snow.
Yeah,
he's changed. I forgot he dropped the Mr. Atheist.
Yeah,
he's swapped now. He's changed it now.
Okay.
And Navadia is also going to be on that panel as well. So that it should be a really, really interesting panel and a really good discussion. So that's on Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you guys in the US. So should be good.
And and as Badger forgot to mention, he does have a new nature video going live tonight, and it looks like it'll be about a magpie.
I do indeed.
It's not about a mouse. It's not about a mouse that may or may not have force ability.
There might be a mouse. But it's not that one. It's a good mouse.
Yeah. As for me, I hopefully in the next couple days or so, because I actually have a day off from work because of the federal holiday. I may actually be able to get my portion of the video I'm working on filmed. Cool. So there may very well be an edited video coming out sometime next week. And as always, right here, I have Media Musings Sunday morning. And also, Saturday, late morning, early afternoon in the US, I have stolen Atheist D&D.
Oh.
So now I have hijacked Atheist D&D, and I'm not sure if I'm going to give it back.
Ooh.
Mostly because it's a lot more convenient for us if I run it.
Yeah, it's on your channel.
If it's on my channel. So Atheist D&D has moved to my channel. So every Saturday, as usual, I'll be running the Atheist D&D. The first episode of the move, because it was just kind of a thing that happened, is yesterday's. It's on my channel if you want to watch it, but it is a long one. It is a long session.
Yeah,
I did notice that it was still going at like 11.
Yeah. Yeah, the party got into quite a scrape. Yeah. Oh, and the session is about the party trying to actually commit piracy. So,
Ooh. Cool.
yep. So, Scummer tagline.
Don't really have one. Just actually,
Yeah, you do.
I do have a tagline because somebody's given me one. Actually, let's start a riot.
And Badger.
Oh, fuck it. Disney is non-canon.
I like that one.
Disney is canon.
It's fucking not.
And remember, don't choke on the indoctrination.
But Disney is canon.
Bye.